in a small little village called Bhagur in Nashik, from where he grew up. And at a very, very young age, inspired by the revolutionary movement in Maharashtra, which was brewing then, the Chafekar brothers, who had protested against the plague, in Maharashtra, and the repressive measures that the British were taking to clamp down on plague victims. The Diseases and Epidemics Act, which was introduced now during COVID, was actually enacted by the British then to control plague. And the Chafekars protesting against that had killed the plague commissioner. So inspired by that, young Savarkar, who was 12 years old or something, had taken this vow in front of his family deity, Ashtabhuja Bhavani, that till my very end, in Marathi he said, Shatrus Marta Marta Mare to Zunzain. So I'm going to keep fighting till my very end, killing the enemy. And he followed this up by forming India's first ever organized secret society, or Gupta Sanstha, which was first called Rashtra Bhakta Samuha. It later morphed into Mitra Mela, which later became Abhinav Bharat, Young India, on the lines of the Italian revolutionaries, Mazzini and Garibaldi and others, who had created Young Italy to fight against imperialism. So young people who would gather together, and the idea was to create an insurrection in the British Indian Army, very similar to what happened in 1857. And this started spreading its wings all over Maharashtra first and other parts of India, and active collaboration with several other secret societies, particularly in Bengal. You had the Anushilan Samiti, the Swadhin Bharat, Jugantar, several others. So people like Aurobindo Ghosh, Barindranath Ghosh, Prafulla Chaki, Khudiram Bose, all these people were constantly working towards with each other. And imagine at a time when there were no WhatsApp groups to communicate and coordinate strategy, they were actually working together for the complete freedom of India. And Savarkar, in the Maharashtra side, his elder brother Baba Rao had formed this. And in 1905, as a student in Ferguson College in Pune, he organized the first ever student bonfire against British clothes to protest against the partition of Bengal. So a young student in Maharashtra being influenced by what was happening in distant Bengal, and actually all of them organizing against it. And he was rusticated from college, fined and all that. Then he gets a scholarship, goes away to London to study law on the behest of this amazing, leader of the revolutionaries there called Shyamji Krishna Varma, who set up this India House. That place is still there in London. It's occupied by other people now, but it's the place where all these revolutionaries lived. And some of the stellar names who probably wouldn't even light a bulb in anyone's minds. Shyamji Krishna Varma, Madam Bhikaji Kama, VVS Iyer, MPT Acharya, Sardar Singh Rana, Madan Lal Dhingra, Lala Hardayal, Sikandar Hayat Khan. So many such people from different parts of India, almost like a microcosm of what India was there in India House. And as their leader, Savarkar did several things. One is he wrote a book on the 1857 revolution. He called it the first war of Indian independence. It was still then called Sepoy Mutiny, disparagingly. Some few sepoys, because of that beef lard and pork, they revolted, was what the British tried to perpetuate. He said, no, this was a revolution. And that book actually became like the Bhagavad Gita for revolutionaries much later. It was Bhagat Singh who republished another edition of it, or later Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and Rash Bihari Bose and others. He also got bomb manuals, how to manufacture bombs in India. All of those, sent back to India and organized this constant, revolution for the complete liberation of India, as I said. And the first flag of Indian independence, designed by him and Hemchandra Das Kanungo of the Bengal Anushilan Samiti, that first flag was taken to the International Socialist Conference in Stuttgart in Germany in 1907. And Madam Bhikaji Kama, just by a woman, again, she jumps onto the table and unfurls that flag, defying a lot of resistance from the British, and say, from today, India is independent. This is our flag, do what you wish. So that kind of zeal that they managed. And a lot of political assassinations then began to happen, whether it was in Calcutta, it was in Nashik, and in London itself, right under the nose of the British Crown, Madan Lal Dhingra assassinates Lord Curzon Wyllie. And that's when the whole revolutionary movement unravels. And Savarkar is arrested. He's tried unfairly. He's sent away to, he's given the harshest punishment of 2 life imprisonments of 50 years, 25 plus 25. So a young man who was going to London to study law at the age of 26, 27, arrested, 50 years, imagine if he has to, literally rot in the dungeons of Port Blair, the most inhuman tortures, what it could have meant for his psyche. So there he's sent away to Kalapani, suffers some of the worst of tortures there, no good food, no toilet facilities, no medical facilities, that Kolhu ka bail, punishment all through the day, and weathers all of that. And then in 1924 he is released, and between 24 to 37, 14 years of actual jail imprisonment, and then 13 long years of house arrest and confinement in Ratnagiri in Maharashtra. So 27 long years of a young person's life totally snuffed out. His degree snatched away from him, his entire family property taken away, and even the vessels of the house were pawned and auctioned. So when the men were sent away to Kalapani, the women of the house literally begged for eking out a livelihood. So under those circumstances and sacrifices, this man, survived. And in Ratnagiri, in 13 years, by then he had propounded this whole idea of hindutva. And in the 13 years, he was a social reformer also, who looked at a complete casteless society, intercaste marriage, intercaste dining. The first temple in India, Patit Pavan Mandir in Ratnagiri in 1931, where people of all castes could go and worship. At a time when among the Maharashtrian Brahmins, the Deshasthas and the Konkanast Chitpavans would not sit together and eat. You had the first cafe where everyone could sit together and eat, which was a revolutionary idea 100 years ago. Yeah. Today it doesn't matter so much in urban spaces, but then it was a big deal. And, Asprishya Ganpati, an untouchable Ganpati, where the lowest in the caste order would be the priest, and even the Brahmin had to go and take his blessings to, worship. So, and children of untouchable, so-called untouchable communities to be able to study along with the upper caste children. All these experiments he did for 13 years. And then after he was finally released in 37, he becomes the president of the Hindu Mahasabha, which was a very important party then, and made it a politically electorally fighting fit party against both the Congress and the Muslim League, which was there. And throughout his life, he was an ideological opponent of Gandhi and what he stood for. He had a lot of differences of opinion with Gandhi. And of course, then the very difficult times leading up to the partition of the country, where the Hindu Mahasabha stoutly opposed the partition till the very end. And after freedom, he was falsely implicated in Gandhi's assassination, because Nathuram Godse was his, acolyte in the Hindu Mahasabha. And so he and Narayan Apte, who were the main conspirators. And he was kept in jail, but exonerated and honorably exonerated in 1948 in the Red Fort trials. But after that, the man just lost interest. He became a persona non grata in society. Even talking about him meant that, you paid a heavy price with your livelihood. So he relegated to the, background in society. And finally, in 1966, on 26 February, in that Jain tradition of Paryopveshan, where you stop eating, drinking, he actually gave up his life in Mumbai.